Hey everyone, we are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
What is UP, everybody? Welcome back to Favs. I'm your host, Fave, and if you just watched that clip and you are not at least a little bit hyped right now, I don't know what to tell you. That is a head coach. A head coach talking about a third-round tight end like he personally discovered a cheat code buried in the back of an NFL rulebook. Ben Johnson literally said he got a text message from this kid's Stanford coaches saying he will crush himself to do whatever he can to help the football team. Bruh. A text message, like a personal reference call, for a third-round pick. That is not normal. That is not standard NFL coach speak. That is a grown man genuinely excited about what he just brought into his building. And if you think that is the only wild thing happening up at Hallis Hall right now, then buckle up because rookie minicamp just wrapped for the Chicago Bears. And the tea is absolutely scalding. We are breaking down every single winner, every single surge, every moment from this camp that has the entire organization buzzing. Let's get into it. Let's start where this whole story starts, and that is with Sam Roush, the Stanford tight end the Bears grabbed with the 69th overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Now, when Chicago made that pick, people were genuinely confused. Let's not sugarcoat it. You already have Cole Kmet on this roster. You already have Colston Loveland, a guy who broke Michigan's single-season record for catches by a tight end. So you needed another tight end? Really? That was the authentic reaction from draft observers all across the country. In fact, one major national outlet had Roush ranked as the 104th player on their big board. The Bears took him at 69. So right out of the gate, Chicago was reaching by every conventional grading standard. Fave's personal opinion? That is exactly the kind of pick that makes Ben Johnson dangerous. He does not care about your big board. He cares about his board. And after what we just saw at rookie minicamp, he may have just been right again. Here is what you need to know about Sam Roush, the football player. He is 6'5", 260 pounds, built like a human battering ram with tight end athleticism. His entire college profile at Stanford was built around being a physically punishing blocker, a guy who finishes every single rep, every single snap, through the whistle. It did not matter if the man across from him was a massive defensive tackle or a small cornerback who had no business being in the run game. Sam Roush finished the block, every time. Johnson himself brought it up after the draft. He said he got that text from a Stanford coach, and I want you to understand what that means in context. NFL head coaches receive information about every prospect they draft. Scouting reports, pro day workouts, combine numbers, film breakdowns. The fact that Johnson highlighted a text message from a college position coach, unprompted, in a press conference, that tells you something about the character layer here that the numbers simply cannot capture. But look, we have to be honest about the question mark that followed Roush into this draft. His hands. At Stanford during the 2025 regular season, he dropped 7 passes, tied for the most among tight ends in the entire FBS. His contested catch conversion rate was 40%. Ranking 34th at his position. So when the Bears brought him to Hallis Hall for rookie minicamp, the very first thing everyone was watching was whether those drops were a real problem or just a sample-size blip from a college career. And what did Sam Roush do? He caught the football in traffic on a seam route, threading through defenders in the middle of the field like a man completely unbothered by the moment. Multiple reporters who were on the practice field called it fearless. One specifically noted the soft touch he showed while catching the ball in the middle of the field. The exact kind of contact catch mentality that you need from a tight end working the intermediate game. Drops? What drops? The kid showed up and performed when the lights were on. Now here is the context that makes every single thing about this Sam Roush pick make complete sense, and I need you to follow me here because this goes deeper than just one player. Ben Johnson runs one of the most tight end heavy offenses in the entire NFL. Last season, the Chicago Bears finished in the top 5 in the league in 12 and 13 personnel usage. 12 personnel means 2 tight ends on the field. 13 personnel means 3 tight ends on the field simultaneously. And the goal, based on everything coming out of Hallis Hall, is not just to stay in the top 5. The goal is to lead the league. To do what the Los Angeles Rams have been doing, flood the field with tight ends and dare defenses to figure out how to stop it. One of the central pillars of Johnson's offensive philosophy is something reporters have started calling the no block, no rock rule. It is exactly what it sounds like. If you are a pass catcher in this offense and you cannot or will not block, you will not see the football. Full stop. It does not matter how good your hands are. It does not matter how fast you run. If you are a liability in the run game and on pass protection, Ben Johnson will make you disappear from the target share. The flip side of that rule is just as important. If you can block and you do it consistently and physically, you will earn your targets. You will be on the field. You will be in the rotation. That rule was designed almost perfectly for a player with Sam Roush's profile. The blocking is already there. The mentality is already there. And now, after what we saw in Minicamp, the catching ability is starting to show up too. Here is the dirty little secret about last year's third tight end situation in Chicago that most casual Bears fans probably do not know. Durham Smythe, the veteran who filled that role in 2025, was signed specifically because of his history with Ben Johnson when they briefly crossed paths with the Miami Dolphins. The familiarity was the appeal, but the production was not there. Smythe appeared on roughly a quarter of the team's offensive snaps and half their special teams snaps all year, and he managed just 6 total targets the entire season. 6. For a player who was on the field that frequently. The reason? He was not holding up his end of the bargain as a blocker at the NFL level. He wasn't executing the exact job description that the no-block, no-rock system requires. So the Bears went out this offseason and specifically targeted a tight end who could fix that problem at the root. And they found Sam Roush. The offensive coordinator has already said publicly that Roush's exact role is still being shaped and developed in real time, which Fave's take is the most exciting possible thing you could say about a rookie. No ceiling drawn, no predetermined box to put him in, just a coaching staff watching a talented young player and asking themselves how many different ways they can use him to create mismatches. And Roush himself, the way he is carrying himself already says everything. After day 1 of minicamp, he stepped in front of reporters and said his job right now is simple. Mouth closed, ears open. He is here to absorb. He is here to compete to the best of his ability every single day. For a guy who was a day 2 pick coming into a room that already has 2 established tight ends with real production, that is exactly the mentality you want to see. He is not showing up with entitlement. He is not showing up confused about the depth chart. He knows where he stands and he knows what he has to do to change it. That kind of clarity from a rookie in the first 48 hours of his professional career, that is a sign. Now think about the big picture here for a second, because this is where Fave goes a little deeper than the surface-level minicamp takes. Colston Loveland is already the breakout tight end story on this roster. The guy had a sensational rookie season. He is the centerpiece of Johnson's passing attack at the position, and he is clearly a long-term piece of the franchise. Cole Kmet is the veteran presence. 3 years into a 4-year, $50 million extension, someone who knows the system inside and out. Now you add Sam Roush as the third option in this 3-headed tight end monster. That is not a position group. That is a weapon system. When you can put all 3 of those players on the field simultaneously and force a defense to declare immediately what they are going to do against it. Are you going base? Are you going sub? Are you bringing a safety down into the box? You create advantages that ripple across the entire field. Suddenly, Caleb Williams is looking at single coverage on the outside. Suddenly, a play-action fake opens up the entire seam. That is the vision. That is what Ben Johnson is building. And Sam Roush is the piece that makes the full picture possible. Now let's shift the conversation completely, because we absolutely cannot talk about this rookie minicamp without digging into the situation that might actually be the most consequential storyline of the entire Bears offseason. And I am talking about the center position, because what is happening in Chicago right now at that spot is genuinely one of the more fascinating roster battles you will find anywhere in the NFL this summer. And it starts with a retirement nobody saw coming. Drew Dahlman was supposed to be the man at center for this team going into 2026. Solid veteran, system fit. Everybody was comfortable with it. Then Dahlman walked away, just retired out of the blue, threw the entire offensive line planning into chaos. The Bears' response was swift. They traded a 5th-round pick to New England for Garrett Bradbury, who had just come off helping the Patriots reach the Super Bowl while not allowing a single sack all season. Smart move in a tough spot. Bradbury comes in, he is the experienced veteran, he fills the void. That was supposed to be the end of the center conversation. Then the 2026 NFL Draft happened, and Ben Johnson blew the script apart. With the 57th overall pick, early in the 2nd round, the Chicago Bears took Logan Jones, the Iowa center, widely considered the best at his position in the entire draft class. He won the Remington Trophy in 2025, which is given annually to the nation's top center. He was a unanimous All-American, a 2-time first-team All-Big Ten selection. He arrived at Hallis Hall with 51 career starts at one of the most NFL-structured programs in college football. He is already 24 years old, turning 25 in October. Not a project, not a prospect who needs 2 or 3 years to develop. A finished product arriving at exactly the right moment. Fave's honest take? When you spend a fifth-round pick acquiring a veteran, and then spend a second-round pick on a rookie who can immediately challenge that veteran for the starting job, you are sending a message. You might not announce the message in a press conference. You might not put it on a billboard. But the message is there, and Logan Jones clearly received it loud and clear. He told reporters at Minicamp that the most important thing he can do right now to get on the field is build chemistry with Caleb Williams. Just being around the facility, having conversations, building trust before full team activities even begin. That is not backup mentality. That is a quarterback center talking. That is a guy who already sees himself snapping the football on opening day. And Johnson himself, the head coach, when asked directly whether Bradbury was locked in as the starter, could not bring himself to just say yes. He praised Jones's football IQ. He talked about how the guys at Iowa were raving about him. He said, and I want you to hear this clearly, that none of them had any qualms that Jones would be able to download the information and operate at a high level. That is a head coach telling you, without quite saying it, that this competition is real. That is not how coaches talk about veteran insurance policies. That is how they talk about future starters they are being careful about handing the job to, prematurely. Jones's Iowa background matters enormously here. He spent 6 years in a program under Kirk Ferentz that is famous, genuinely famous, for running itself like an NFL franchise. The structure, the discipline, the emphasis on the details that most college programs treat as optional. Jones walked into Hallis Hall and immediately told reporters that it reminded him of Iowa. The importance of showing up on time, doing the little things right, understanding that nothing is beneath you. From a 6-year starter at that program, that adjustment to professional life is already done. He is not learning how to be a pro. He already is one. Now here is where the Bradbury situation gets spicy in a way that extends beyond Chicago. Because if Logan Jones wins this starting competition, and every historical data point about second-round centers in the modern NFL suggests that is a very real possibility, Garrett Bradbury becomes a trade asset. And there is a team sitting right now with a gaping hole at center that would make enormous sense as a trade destination. The Baltimore Ravens just lost their franchise center, Tyler Linderbaum, in free agency. He went to Las Vegas on a record-setting deal. Baltimore currently has a backup, with 0 career starts projected to snap the ball to Lamar Jackson. That is a disaster waiting to happen, and every football operations person in the league knows it. The Bears could solve that problem and potentially recoup the 5th-round pick they sent to New England in the original Bradbury trade. The chess pieces are already in motion, and none of it would be happening without Logan Jones surging the way he already is. And we cannot close out this minicamp breakdown without talking about some of the other names that are generating quiet buzz at Hallis Hall, because there are a few guys flying under the radar right now who could end up being significant pieces of this roster sooner than anyone expects. Jordan Vandenberg. Write that name down. 6th-round pick, defensive tackle, and the most fascinating backstory in this entire draft class. This man played rugby in South Africa until he was 10 years old, then moved to America and eventually found his way to American football. The grandson of a world-class bodybuilder, he is a physical freak in the truest sense of the description. A first-generation football player with the kind of raw athleticism that you simply cannot teach. At Minicamp, the coaching staff was already noting the energy he brings every single rep, the explosive movement for an interior lineman that makes you stop and do a double take. He is not going to be a massive contributor in year 1. Nobody reasonable is projecting him as a day 1 starter, but the Bears are building a deep defensive line rotation. And a year from now, year 2, year 3, Vandenberg could quietly develop into one of the best value picks of this entire class. Sometimes the most important thing a prospect can do in rookie minicamp is make the coaching staff believe. And from everything coming out of Hallis Hall, Vandenberg is already doing exactly that. Then there is Malik Muhammad, the cornerback who was one of the genuine standouts of the entire minicamp weekend. Multiple reporters on the scene highlighted Muhammad as one of the most impressive players regardless of position across both days of practice. In a secondary that is going to need contributors, a rookie corner who hits the ground running in the very first organized football activity of his professional career is somebody worth paying attention to all the way through training camp and into the preseason. And do not sleep on Miller Moss, the veteran quarterback who came in as an undrafted free agent, Caleb Williams' former backup at USC, a guy with 93 NFL games on his resume and a Super Bowl ring, was arguably the most polished player on the entire practice field this weekend. Johnson called him intriguing before camp even started. Then Moss went out and delivered 2 days of consistent, efficient play. A diving one-handed catch on day 1. Reliable route recognition in 7-on-7 on day 2. If you are Case Keenum right now, you should probably be looking over your shoulder, because Miller Moss is the kind of veteran who knows exactly how to take a backup quarterback job when the opportunity presents itself. And speaking of value, let's talk about Xavier Thomas for a second, because this pick was another one that confused people on draft day and has quietly started making more and more sense as the offseason develops. Pro Football Focus had Thomas graded as a 7th-round pick. The Bears took him in the 3rd round, in the same round as Sam Roush, and the analytics community collectively lost their minds. But here is the thing about Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles. They are not drafting for PFF grades. They are drafting for specific traits that fit specific roles in their specific system. Thomas runs a 4.28 40-yard dash. In the new era of NFL kickoff return rules that have dramatically increased the value and danger of the return game, that kind of speed is a weapon. The Bears' special teams coordinator Richard Hightower has been on record saying that the league's new kickoff setup has made the returner position more valuable than it has ever been in the modern era. Thomas is not just fast either. The Bears specifically described him as more instinctive than other return specialists they have evaluated. Instinct plus elite speed in the new kickoff format? That is a recipe for explosive plays that can swing field position and momentum in ways that change games. Fave's personal take on this one is simple. Give it until week 4 of the regular season. Thomas is going to make one return that has the entire stadium on their feet, and everyone who questioned this pick is going to go very quiet very fast. Now, before we bring this all the way home, let me give a quick shout out to the undrafted free agent situation, because there is one name that keeps coming up in practice reports that deserves a mention. Hayden Large, the Iowa tight end who came in as an unsigned UDFA on a tryout, was immediately flagged by reporters as a standout presence. He was a vocal leader in that Iowa locker room for years. The guy giving the pregame hype speeches, the guy the program leaned on for culture and energy. He's a skilled blocker, he offers H-back versatility, and he apparently looked sharp catching the football. The Bears almost certainly are not going to carry 4 tight ends all the way to the 53-man roster. But do not be surprised if Hayden Large sticks around in some capacity, whether that is a practice squad role or he forces the coaching staff to make a harder decision than they expected. He is the kind of player who has been doing this for years and simply refuses to let himself be ignored. So let's bring it all together. What is the final Fave verdict from Chicago Bears Rookie Minicamp 2026? The biggest winner by a mile is Sam Roush. He came in with a question mark over his hands and left with reporters calling him one of the most impressive players on the field. He is going into a system perfectly tailored for his skill set. The coaching staff is openly excited about him. He is going to play a significant amount of snaps as a true rookie. That is a massive win. The second biggest winner is Logan Jones, a second-round center who arrived at Hallis Hall already thinking like a starter, already building relationships with the quarterback, already drawing the kind of praise from his head coach that suggests this starting center battle is not as predetermined as the official roster language makes it sound. And hovering just outside the top tier, Malik Muhammad making a statement at corner, Miller Moss making Case Keenum uncomfortable, Jordan Vandenberg showing the raw athleticism that might make him a gem in a year or two, and Xavier Thomas reminding everyone that in the right system, a 4.28 40-yard dash is still a very, very dangerous thing. Ben Johnson is building something real in Chicago. The pieces are young, they are hungry, they fit the system, and after this weekend at Hallis Hall, they are already showing up. OTAs are next, then mandatory minicamp, then training camp. And every single week, this Bears roster is going to give us more to talk about. That is going to do it for today's video right here on Favs. I'm Fave, and if you made it this far, you already know what time it is. Smash that like button right now. It takes literally 2 seconds and it helps this channel more than you know. Drop in the comments below, who is your sleeper from this Bears rookie class? Not the first-round pick. Not the guy everyone already knows about. I want the name you are riding with before training camp even starts. Let me know down below. And if you are not subscribed yet, what are you even doing? Hit that subscribe button. It is free, it costs you nothing, and we have got Bears content coming at you all the way through OTAs, mandatory minicamp, training camp, the preseason, and into the regular season. We are not slowing down. I will see you in the next one. Peace.